I frequently ask managers this question. What is your worst habit as a manager when you are under pressure? Think about that just for a moment. And the responses I get, and I've asked that question thousands and thousands of times, the responses I get are one of two camps. Either, under pressure, I get over-aggressive. I tell people what to do. My tone of voice goes up. I get very directive. I dismiss people. I stop listening to people. These are the sorts of traits that come out when we are a slave to that pressure, if we are an over-aggressor in that place. Some of us become over-passive. It's not necessarily that we go into flight mode and that we run away, but we withdraw. We basically, our brain says, I've got to survive, and in order to survive, I am now going to have to do this myself. So for some of us, under pressure, we take things off people, we do them ourselves. And in that moment, we will withdraw our emotional connection from them. Everything in our body language will say, go away, leave me to it, I will do this. And in that moment, whether we are over-aggressive or whether we are over-passive, it is a very punishing moment for the person that we are coaching in that moment. Now, this might sound crazy, but I am not at all worried about what your worst habit is when you're under pressure. I would say to you, don't be proud of it. I would say to you, try not to make it a competition to see who has the worst possible habit. But I don't want you to be scared of them, because they are not the habits that really get in your way. I might even say to you that there is a lot of authenticity in those habits. And there's a real problem if we try and curb those behaviours, because there is a risk that we lose our authenticity. We become a robot, we become an automaton, we look like a clone of a calm manager. That is not authentic. So I'm now going to introduce you to the habits that really do get in our way. And there's a great acronym that we can use to remember these. And that acronym is OUCH! These are our unconscious controlling habits. And basically there are three of them. We ask a lot of closed questions. In fact, closed questions have become our prime controlling tool. Notice that when we ask somebody a closed question, it's not a question of genuine curiosity. It is actually a manipulation. It's actually a direction. When we say to somebody, so have you spoken to that person? We're not really asking that from a point of curiosity. We're really telling the other person that they've got to go and take that action. It is completely unconscious. And it is driven by a moment of pressure. The second habit is we fill silences. Now, if I've got cortisol flooding my brain as a stress hormone, and cortisol slows down time, so I have time to deal with the threat around me. The issue with cortisol is that it can make 10 seconds feel like a lifetime. So even if I ask you a beautiful open question like, what do you think you should do? What action do you believe is the right one for you to take next? And notice as I ask you that sort of question, it's a question that's designed to make you think. And so you're going to pause and you're going to have to think about it. You're going to have to get a little bit of blood back into your neocortex and you're going to have to think about it. And this means that you will pause. But if I'm running cortisol, I ask you that question, and the next voice I hear is a judgment. I will hear in my head, oh, come on, guys, this is not hard. I mean, this is a question that you should have understood, really. I sent you an email about this 4 weeks ago. Come on. And I am highly likely, therefore, to be the next person to speak. And that act of being the next person to speak is an abuse of the thinking that I have created for you. Now, you won't necessarily give me that feedback, particularly if this is my habit as your coach or your manager. I have two beautiful ways of filling a silence. I will either answer my own question, because this is so much clearer, and when I'm under pressure, I rarely ask you a question to which I don't already have the answer. So this would sound something like this. So do you need to, what do you think your next step should be? Do you think you need to go and talk to them about this? So I've asked you the open question and I've immediately answered it, because I can't have the risk of you giving me an inconvenient answer. It's why, by the way, pre-COVID anyway, why when we used to ask each other how we are, we weren't really that interested. I just needed to know that you were okay. So I would say to you, how are you today? You all right? Yeah, because I'm not that bothered how you are, but I do need you to be all right. So I've asked you how you are, and then I've told you how you are. Crazy habit, but that's what we do. At least we did that before COVID. I think through COVID we've been a little better at maybe asking people how they are and genuinely wanting to check in with them, and I would urge us all to keep that in place. The second way I have of filling a silence is if I judge your delay as you not sharing my passion or my sense of urgency about this, then clearly what you're lacking is motivation. So what I might do is I might make a motivational statement, and it would sound something like this. So, what do you think is the right thing for you to do next? Because frankly, if you're not back in with them within the next 2 or 3 days, I think the moment will be lost. And I'm trying desperately to inject you with the same sense of urgency that I have. Of course, my behaviour, I am simply now your threat. And what is the easiest way to navigate a moment of threat with your boss? Yeah, you agree with them. Give them what they want. Say yes. And how many times we walk out of a one-to-one with our boss with more things on our commitment list. We went to a one-to-one to try and get some help and support about prioritisation, and we've walked out with more things that we have committed to do. How many times has that happened to us? And the final habit is we make multiple inputs. We seem to be physically incapable of asking a question, leaving a silence, waiting for a response, and then giving our next response. So multiple inputs basically means I'm in a flow of consciousness. I'm going to download that to you. I'm going to try and make it sound like I'm coaching you. But I will ask you maybe 3 questions in a row. I might throw in a statement halfway through, and I'll probably finish on a closed question. Now, I don't know about you, but if your boss asks you 4 questions in a row, which one are you most likely to answer? It'll either be the last one, because you can't remember the first one. This has been going on now for a little while. Or it'll be the one that you want to answer. The question you feel is the easiest for you to answer. The question that you can answer that is going to put a smile back on my face as your boss, that is going to relieve some of the pressure. And so we are highly likely, therefore, to end up talking about something that is going really well, rather than me supporting you as your coach with something that you're really struggling with. So these are the 3 prime unconscious controlling habits that we have.